All right. So I want to bring this up because I have something. That was the Kobayashi Maru. Okay. So I wanted to bring something up here. All right. So for the rest of today's topic, I want to talk about the PlayStation Mini, the PlayStation Classic is what they're going to call it. We saw, I know everybody at this point knows that it's coming out, and it is December 3rd. It's going to be $100. It's not coming with a power block, which people seem to be making more of a big deal about that than they should be, because, I mean, it's the little cell phone thing. Anybody that's got, I've had multiple cell phones over the past few years, and they all come with one. I have those little USB blocks just all around my house. So it's not like I'm going to buy it and then I'm going to be fighting to plug it in. I mean, I plug in when we play streams here with SNES and NES Classic, they're powered by my they're powered by my laptop. So it's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, you get them from Walmart. You order them from Amazon for like $3, if even that. So I'm not too concerned with that. My bigger concern is the fact that it doesn't come with a DualShock controller. It looks like it's going to come with two of the OG PlayStation controllers before the DualShock, before the analog joysticks. I like that controller. The problem is that eliminates some choices, because I think the DualShock controllers, weren't they also pressure sensitive buttons? Were they pressure sensitive buttons, or was it the PS2 that first started the pressure sensitive buttons? But not having the analogs, will yours come with extra games? Lizard, we'll see if mine's come with extra games. The problem is that not having the analog sticks eliminates at least one game. There's at least one game, but it's an important game. The buttons, it might have just been the PS2, but at some point they introduced pressure sensitive buttons. So when you do like Gran Turismo, for instance, instead of just not pressing the button and pressing the button, you could gas slowly by slowly pressing the button down, which is great. PS2 had pressure sensitive. Okay, so that's not an issue. So it's just the fact that there's no analog sticks and no vibration in the joystick, which quite frankly I don't really care about. All right. Now the issue is that they also released 5 games that says there's going to be 20 games altogether. I also have a problem with the price. The price is a little bit high, but we'll see what happens with the games that come out to it. Because if you start releasing a bunch of games that are super duper expensive, the price is actually not bad. I hope you don't like Ape Escape. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Before we even talk about the games, I want to talk about the thing itself. And, I wonder if you can hack into it. I would like to address the idea of, because what I'm hearing now is, oh man, I can just buy all these games on my PS3. Oh man, I could hack a PS TV and have all of these games. Oh man, I could use a Raspberry Pi. All of these things. A bunch of similar arguments that came up with the SNES and the NES Classic. And we talked about that here. If you don't have any of that stuff, if you don't have a PS3, maybe you used a video game a long time ago and you stopped, you got rid of all your stuff. If knowing about a PS TV, hacking a PS TV, downloading ROMs, and putting all that stuff on there, if that is beyond you, if that is just something that you have no interest in doing all that work, if your Raspberry Pi is beyond you and you have no interest in doing all that work, this is for you. This is something that you go out and you buy, assuming that the games are on there that you really like. If you have all of those things, I could just put it on my PS3. I could hack a PS TV. I could use a Raspberry Pi. If you're good to do that, then this is not being marketed towards you. No one is telling you to go out and buy these things. Yes, you already have a PS3, so it's cost effective for you to go and buy these games. You already have a PS TV, so it's cost effective for you to figure out how to get these games on there. You can't say I won't spend this $100 because I could then because I could just have a Raspberry Pi and do all of this for free. because we're talking about somebody starting from zero, in which case now you need to buy the Raspberry Pi. It's not like you just have Raspberry Pis growing on a bush outside. I mean, they are called raspberries, but still. You have to buy these things. Oh, I could just do it with my PS3. Assuming you have a PS3 and you don't have to go and buy a PS3. Yeah, you could do all of that, but not everyone is able. Yeah, not everyone's able to do it. Raspberry Pi is hard for people who aren't tech people. I have a PS3 and PS2, and I feel like this on the PS2 Classic, PlayStation Classic, is a more authentic way to play these games. But yeah, if you can do all of those things, fantastic. But that's not for. Then this isn't for you. This at no point was this ever marketed to people who own all of this stuff and need to buy something else. Never. It was never marketed towards you. So knock it off. Yeah, a Raspberry Pi is like a really small. It's essentially a microcomputer, but one of the things that a lot of people do with it in the retro community, they call it the Retro Pi. When they do that, is they add a program to it that is basically emulators, and then they run emulators that way. But they're very small, so you can do it on a very, very small device. But so we have established people who, because that was happening with the SNES and the NES Classic. Oh, well, I already have those games still. Okay, that's fantastic. Then this is not marketed towards you. But if you don't have any of those games, this may be worth it for you. And I'll tell you what, this is actually worth it for me. Assuming I'll be able to discover more games on there. This is actually worth it for me and for a lot of streamers, because the value here is now you can play PS1 games through HDMI, because if you try and do that with a PS3, you're going to get hit with that copy protection thing, and you can't do it. Anybody streaming PS3 to play PS1 games is using their component setup. They're using component wires, and the quality is different. And you can't even do that if you're using the Elgato HD60S or whatever it is. It only has HDMI. 1 second. Hi. See you tonight. Love you. Yeah. My issue is most of the cost, and I already own most of the PS1 games. Yeah, yeah, Dragoon Knight. Then it's not for you. And that's totally fine. It's not for you. There's no reason. But I see people in that situation who are throwing a fit. Like, this is stupid. Like, what are you talking about? It's stupid. It's great. You have everything, so you're fine. Why does it get blocked? E0, it's like HDCP. It's a copy protection, but it only comes through HDMI. That copy protection doesn't work through component. So that's the easiest way to get around it. I'm reserving judgment until we have a complete list again. Yeah, Sean, that's one of my big things. That's why I was talking about it. And yes, Latimer, I do love her. That's one of the big things. That's one of the things we want. HTCP. Okay, there it is. High-tech copy protection. So that being said, that out of the way, the biggest thing to separate this from buy and don't buy are the games. Now, we know 5 games already. Tekken 3, Jumping Flash, which I'm kind of excited about because I'm surprised that that's on there. Final Fantasy VII, which is also a little bit of a surprise because of the fact that it's coming to multiple systems. Wild Arms is a big surprise because I didn't think, I never saw Wild Arms as such a major nostalgic game that they would think it would sell these units. And Ridge Racer Type 4. I'm a little surprised that it's not Ridge Racer Revolution or Rage Racer, because I think Ridge Racer has a more Ridge Racer Revolution has a more iconic name as opposed to the R4 game, which is Ridge Racer Type 4. But I am happy that it's Ridge Racer Type 4 because I love that game. I thought Ridge Racer Type 4 was amazing. It's HDCP. There we go. High Definition Copy Protection, which was made by Intel. Okay, there we go. Final Fantasy VII is one of the games for the PS1. Yeah, I it's not surprising that it's on there, but at the same time, since it's coming in, put it this way, we're gonna go through some games and like the Crash games. I do not expect any of the Crash games on there. They are major PlayStation selling games. Crash. But because the Crash compilation just came out, that's why I don't expect to see them on there. All right. I have this list. We talked about this a couple months ago, and I think that episode was lost, unfortunately. We talked about the idea of an N64 Mini, a PS1 Mini, and a Saturn Mini, and what games we would put on there. We put 20 games on each one of them. I found the list. I forgot that we did write them down. I did have them typed up because I wanted to double check them against whenever something actually came out. So I'm actually pretty excited to do this. Hey, Kraft Foods Corporate. Kraft Foods Corporate. I've been looking for a sponsor for the show. If you, I do love my mac and cheese. So if you want to sponsor the show, you go right ahead. All right, so this is 20 games that we thought originally might go on a hypothetical PlayStation Classic. Damn, you came prepared. Yeah, Diego, that is a surprise. All right. Metal Gear Solid 1. I think that's a gimme. I think that's a given. I think it's a given that should be on there. Show Kraft your corporate butthole. Latimer, if they'll shove money into it, yes. Metal Gear Solid 1. I think Metal Gear Solid 1 is a sponsor me, Kraft Daddy. Ooh, I like that. I think Metal Gear Solid 1 is a gimme. I think that there's no, if Final Fantasy VII is on there, despite whatever's going on with that, with the company and with the game itself, Metal Gear Solid 1 absolutely needs to be on there. Mega Man Legends. I think that that's an easy call. I think that putting Mega Man Legends on there is an easy call. I think that Mega Man Legends is a little bit less of a staple, but I still think that it has the name to sell people into buying one of these. All right. Symphony of the Night and Tactics. I don't have them on the list. I don't think I have them on the list. I don't have Metal Gear. I don't have Final Fantasy Tactics and Symphony of the Night on the list. They are two that I want. Absolutely want. But I'm not entirely sure. I think they're both system sellers. But I just don't know. And with that new patent, they just released apparently applied for, not a patent, rating. They just did a thing like applied for a rating for Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. So I feel like there's a compilation coming, which means that it would probably stay off of the PlayStation Classic. Did Mega Man Legend use analog sticks? It might have. I think it might have used analog sticks, but not required them. See, Ape Escape required analog sticks. Mega Man Legends used them, but I don't think it required them. Yeah, there's going to be a Castlevania bundle for the PS4, hopefully. Why wouldn't they just let plug in a PS3 or PS4? Minion, the controller plugins for the PS Classic are USB, so they actually might. That might be why they're not releasing DualShock controllers, because they might let you plug in DualShock 3 or 4 controllers. All right. Gran Turismo. I think Gran Turismo would absolutely be on there. I actually think Gran Turismo 2 would probably be on there more than the first one. I think that's another, that's an in-house game. I think that's absolutely an easy pick to go onto the system. Twisted Metal 2. I definitely think Twisted Metal is a game that's going to go on there. Which one, I don't know. Honestly, I think 2 was the most iconic one of those games. Look, GTA 2, huh? Yeah, GTA 2 was miles better than GT 1. It was, and I didn't even play it that much. I didn't really get into Gran Turismo until 3. Yeah, Twisted Metal 2, I think Twisted Metal 2 should be on there. I think that was a game that a lot of people knew about. Looks like we have another game to add to my wish list then. Lady Foxheart, now we're blabbing about what games we're going over the list of what we thought before. When we talked about this before, about a hypothetical PlayStation Classic, what games did we decide would probably be on there? 3 was great too, but that's a different topic. See, I don't know about Persona 1. I think people would like Persona 1, but I think it's too niche. I think it's too specific of a game. Question related to the console stuff, but more the controllers. Do you think the PlayStation Classic controllers will be compatible with PC? I don't think they'll be compatible with the PC out of the box, but I think people will figure them out very quickly. Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, I think was a big game for the system. I remember when that game came out, and I remember a lot of people going for it. We had talked about Soul Reaver being on there. I don't know if that's a guarantee, but I could see it being on there, hypothetically. Yeah, exactly, Minion. There'll be a driver for it or something like that. For Crash representation, Crash Team Racing. Crash Team Racing gives you Crash, and it gives you a racing game, and it doesn't interfere with the fact that the Crash trilogy came out on other systems. I think Crash Team Racing will be a good choice. And again, yeah, it gives you you have Gran Turismo for the more serious type of racing. You have Crash Racing for the silly type of racing. I could see Tomb Raider, CTR, yeah. Actually, Sally, you're pretty good. Legend of Dragoon is the next game. I do think Legend of Dragoon will be on there. I was not a huge fan of that game. I actually bought it and traded it off relatively quickly while it was still brand new. But I do know a lot of people that love it. I do know a lot of people that really love it. And I think it would be a good fit for the system. I think it would be a nice RPG alternative to Final Fantasy VII, which admittedly is a system seller, but admittedly more people have played. SNES Classic came with both F-Zero and Mario Kart. Yeah, and even F-Zero is kind of silly. You asshole. If Legend of Dragoon isn't on it, yeah, there will be riots. Elements. Chrono Cross is another one that I would love to see on there, but I don't know. And Xenogears. I see Xenogears there. I don't remember if we put... No, we did not. Okay. This is the one that's kind of tough. Resident Evil 1. Do you put Resident Evil 1 on there? You're saying, I don't know what these games are for. Yeah, it's all right, Rox. It's. I mean, you're going to... Even without having played the games, you're going to hear a lot of franchises that you're aware of. Oh, see, Resi 2. See, I see a lot of Resi 2 there. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if you would put Resident Evil 1 or Resident Evil 2. I think 2 might be the bigger game. Again, they're doing the HD remaster of that game. So, do you put Resident Evil 2 on there to say, oh, you could play this version of it, and then you could play the remastered version on the PS4? Or do you say we're not putting it on there because the remaster is coming out? See, because of the remake, yeah. Yeah, and without the DualShock, I wonder how much more difficult that makes the game. You put in 1 because 2 is coming out. Yeah, it's coming out a little too close. This is one that I really want. Man, it is brighter on my camera. This is one that I really want. Parappa the Rapper. Yes, you put Parappa the Rapper on there. Jammer Lammy I thought was the better game, but Parappa the Rapper is the more known part of that franchise. You put Parappa on there. All right, Liz, I'll check that out. Would the remasters really stop some game? I don't know, Spectre. I don't know that it would stop them. I don't. That's why I'm not entirely sure. Because if anything, putting Resident Evil 2 on there would be almost like an advertisement for the HD one, for the remastered one. Why not both? Because they want to get as many franchises as they can. That's realistically, if you're talking about good games, you could put Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 and Tactics on there, and Chocobo's Dungeon and Chocobo's Racing. Like, you could load it with good Final Fantasy type games, but you wouldn't do that. You could make a PlayStation Classic with just RPGs, and people would go bananas for it because there were so many of those good games. So I think when we made this list, what we tried to do was we tried to get at least we tried to keep it down to one representation per franchise. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is interesting. I'm curious to know if there would be a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I would love it. I wonder if Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 would go on there before 1 would. I don't think 3 would. 3 was a good game, but I don't think it would go on there. Oh, excuse me. All right. Okay. So we have Ape Escape on this list. Can't have Ape Escape. Can't have it. It sucks, but without a DualShock controller, you can't have Ape Escape. I mean, you can, but it'd be ridiculously difficult. You can't do it. Tony Hawk probably won't happen because Lizard. There's a lot of licensed music in there. Would they put Brave Fencer? Brave Fencer would be an interesting addition. I think Brave Fencer would actually be a very nice addition. I think that it is a SquareSoft game, but it's more of an adventure than it is an RPG. I think that would actually work very well on there. Right along with Brave Fencer, I would probably put Alundra. I think that that's another game that is very, very specific to its type and would introduce a lot of people to that type of game. This is the long shot. Okay. The Pizza Hut demo disc. Oh my God. This next one is the long shot. But if this game were on there, value-wise, immediately, the PlayStation Classic is worth it. Tales of Destiny. As a collector, that's $100 game minimum. You put that game on there, it is immediately worth it to buy the system and get that game with HDMI output for the $100 that it would cost everybody to buy the regular game. But then you also get 19 more games, plus however many extra games you find. I have no idea what Tales of Destiny elements. Are you familiar with the Tales series? Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Xillia, Tales of Symphonia, basically anything with Tales at the beginning of it. It's one of the first games in that. Tales of Fantasia, Tales of Eternia, like they're literally just Tales games. Yeah, the original Tales of game. I have it. I bought it a couple of years ago. Finally, I wanted it in my collection, and I finally bought it a few years ago. Yeah, Inspector, and that's the thing. Once you put, it depends because Valkyrie Profile is a rare game, and if you put that on there, it'd be worth it. But Valkyrie Profile was already on the PSP. Tales of Destiny, I don't remember being on another Sony system. I need to secure my camera a little bit better. All right, so Final Fantasy VII we actually have on this list. So, all right, we got one. Final Fantasy, Abe's Odyssey. Abe's Odyssey might be a little tricky, but I could see it on there. I think that was a Sony game. It was relatively popular. You know, it's a very unique 2D side-scrolling game. There was a puzzle game called Intelligence Cube. I could see that being on there as a representation of puzzle games. I think there were parts of the game Catherine that were kind of like that. Oh my God, Doom! I would love Doom. Yeah, Intelligence Cube was a cool puzzle game. I think that would be great. Intelligence Cube. Oh, Silent Hill 1. I think Silent Hill 1 is another. Absolutely. And Silent Hill 1 is another, you put that game on there and value-wise, it's immediately worth it. I think that's a good game for it. F me in the A, Intelligence Cube. Diablo 1 for the PS1 was, oh boy. Yeah, but I think Silent Hill 1 would be amazing. Meander, we'll get there because it's on the list. My fan is like messing up. Medieval 1 and 2. When we did this discussion before, we actually put both of them on there. Silent Hill 1, I don't believe it uses the DualShock, but is not required. But Medieval 1 and 2, I remember when we talked about this before, we put both of them on there. I think that because there are no others anywhere else, I think that it's a smart idea to put both of them on there. If they're gonna put one, I think they should put two of them. Just because that's it. Like, that's the whole series.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Dobie, right? Dobie? Okay, Dobie. Thank you for the follow. My third play. They could release Persona 2. I think I would see Persona 2 on there more than I'd see Persona 1 if there had to be a Persona on there. Another puzzle type game. This is more of a Tetris combat game. Super Puzzle Fighter. We'll play that here one day. Super Puzzle Fighter is a great game, but what I need, you know what I need for Super Puzzle Fighter? I need online play with that game. And that game is rage. That game is all rage. I don't know why I was going to say Daytona USA. No, Rox, we have Daytona USA on the Saturn Mini that we talked about before. Super Puzzle Fighter. Tekken, we had Tekken 2 on this list. So we got Tekken 3. I'm a little surprised that we got Tekken 3 and not Tekken 2. But we got sort of another one. Yeah, 1v1 me and Puzzle Fighter. Dan only. These last three could be gimmies. These last three, I believe, should be on there. Probably not Grandia Mendez. Soul Blade, I think, is a great fighting game to go on the system. Somebody mentioned Bushido Blade earlier. I do like the idea of Bushido Blade, but I think Soul Blade would be a larger name to sell. Could you imagine giving people access to Soul Blade? Oh, Mendez, Xenogears is tempting. Xenogears, I do like the idea of putting Xenogears on there. Then we say 2 because Tekken 3 has problems being released. I don't know. I forget why we said 2 instead of 3. I think 2 was just more iconic to me. Grandia 1 and 2 is being remastered for the Switch, yeah. Yeah, that's why. We're good with Tekken. Money Puzzle Exchanger. Okay, so this one we're going to have to take off probably Spyro. We had Spyro 1 on there. I think we would just take that off. I think with the Spyro Trilogy remaster, whatever it is coming out, I think that's another good. I think that's a game that they would not put on there because of the remaster trilogy. I could see Crash coming to the PlayStation Mini, despite the fact that there is the remaster of it. Spyro, no, I think Spyro. There's a remaster coming. They want you to buy the remaster. I think they're not. I think they would keep Spyro off of that list. The last game we had on here is Tomb Raider, and I definitely think Tomb Raider 1. I don't think people liked 2 and 3 anywhere near as much as they liked 1. And yes, the Grandia remasters are coming to PS4. I don't know about Xbox. I believe they're also coming to PC. Toshinden. I would not put Toshinden. I know a lot of people have fond memories of playing Toshinden, but it was not really that good of a game. It really wasn't that good of a game. Elements. I think Tomb Raider would be very iconic. I think the only problem with Tomb Raider is that they've retconned the story into what it is now, and the Tomb Raider back then, it doesn't go with canon. So that was the end of the list. That was the end of the list that we had made. But I do want to ask you guys for more games, because I think that there are more games on there. We had Twisted Metal, Ziego, we had Twisted Metal 2 on there. I love the idea of putting Klonoa on there. Love it. Love the idea of putting Klonoa on there. Parasite Eve, I don't think they would put Parasite Eve. I'll tell you what I do think they would put is Vagrant Story. Vagrant Story was a fantastic game with a combat system similar to Parasite Eve. I would love Parasite Eve because I would finally get a chance to play it, to play through it, but I don't know if they would do it. Ooh, excuse me. Fear Effect, I think, Fear Effect. I think Fear Effect would be kind of cool. That's another one that's like, if they came out and said Fear Effect was going to be on the system, I would look at them like they were insane. But I would like to see it. Just watched Black Panther. It was amazing. Oh, Rye. It was an amazing movie. I think it was a really good movie. Pepsi Man. PS2 classic. We'll get there. Yeah, 4 discs with Final Fantasy. Oh, Elements. The open button on the PS1. The open button is apparently going to be a button that sends you back to the menu to change discs. That's how they're going to that's how they're going to handle multiple discs on the system. So yeah, I mean, that was the list that we had come up with. So out of that list, we already have we have Final Fantasy VII, Tekken, but we said Tekken 2 and they said Tekken 3. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all. So we hit 2 of them. PS2 Classic gonna be a chunky boy. Why not just make that a button on the controller? Probably so you don't accidentally hit it. That's bollocks. I want to be able to play my PS1 disc without having to buy a PS3. Yeah, see? And here you go. See, you want to, without having to buy, Sean buy PS1. Yeah, I mean, that seems like the easy choice is buy a PS1. All right. So that was the list that we had done before. It looks like we added a few of them. Yeah, no Daytona USA. Ooh, I do love Dino Crisis. I do love the idea of Dino Crisis. I think they will put a wrestling game on it. Yeah, right. Somebody mentioned Brave Fencer earlier. I do like the idea of Dino Crisis. Oh, no, Rox, I don't think they'll put a wrestling game on there because the same problem as before with the licensing issues. And I don't think they had any sort of their own version of wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would turn into a licensing issue. Never played Dino Crisis. Yeah, Dino Crisis is good. Honestly, Lizard, it's Resident Evil with dinosaurs. Easy, derp. I know that Resident Evil with dinosaurs is exciting to you. The idea of it is amazing, but relax. You're getting all worked up. Dino Crisis is Resident Evil with dinosaurs. It basically is. Like, you find things and you combine them, and if you play Dino Crisis, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff that is very relatable. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I did pick up Dino Crisis. I do have that game. I know I had it. I have it on PS1. I thought I had it on Dreamcast. I do have that game. We may have to try that out one day. Oh my God, Sinaj, Incredible Crisis? I've been meaning to play that game on here, and I never have. MSX Mini. I want, you know what, Lizard? I want a TurboGrafx Mini, and just put all US games on there. Did you just talk to a toy? I did not talk to a toy. I talked to my other co-host. Besides you, the chat, my co-host, my other co-host I spoke to. Gotta have some Capcom right now. They're killing it. Oh, we're gonna get it done. Sean, we might. I'll be honest. I haven't played that game in forever, so and I can tell you right now, I don't remember any of it. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. The other co-host who never taught. He just sits there. He's like, is it Teller? Is Penn and Teller, and then the Teller, the short one that keeps quiet all the time? He's like my Teller. I'm pretty sure it's Teller. Yeah, because Penn Jillette is the other guy. Rayman's interesting. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. I'm curious about Mortal Kombat just because Mortal Kombat is still an actively ongoing franchise. Siphon Filter, I like. I like Siphon Filter. Yeah, like, there you go. See, I got it. Elements. We're right here. It's like Penn and Teller. 20 high selling game. Oh my god, PS1. Rayman 1. Can we talk about the $100 price tag? I think the classic. Shadow, we were talking about that. That price tag will. It's off-putting right now, but we'll see what happens because depending on the games that go on there, that price tag could be worth it.